Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into a massive topic that's practically dominating boardroom discussions and architecture planning sessions everywhere. We are doing a serious CTO-level reality check on the current state of enterprise software. Specifically, we're evaluating the shiny, modernized Java 25 against Python's absolute dominance right now in 2026. We're going to look way beyond the hype and dig into the actual data, the underlying mechanics, and the real business realities of choosing your tech stack. Okay, let's dive right into this. So let's just address the elephant in the room right off the bat, shall we? If you look around today, Python has an absolute stranglehold on AI, machine learning, data engineering, and just general developer mindshare. I mean, it's the undisputed default for new projects and startups. So it's totally fair to ask, with Python basically eating the world, is Java finally aging out of the modern enterprise? Well, if we only look at internet popularity, things actually look pretty grim for Java. Here we have the TOB index for April 2026. Python is sitting pretty comfortably at 20.97%, while Java has dropped down to 7.79%. Now, what's really interesting here is that this 13.18 percentage point gap represents the absolute widest spread between these two languages in TOB's entire 25-year history. Honestly, if you just looked at this chart, you'd think Java was on life support. But as we'll see in just a moment, popularity rankings don't exactly write enterprise checks. Here is our roadmap for today. We'll cover the 2026 tech landscape, a Java versus Python showdown, where Java still dominates, what's new in Java 25, next-gen garbage collection, and finally, the polyglot enterprise. Let's kick things off with Section 1, the 2026 tech landscape myth-busting enterprise adoption. Okay, so if we transition away from what developers are just searching for on the internet and instead look at the reality of production environments, the magic number is 99%. According to a 2025 State of Java survey by Azul, 99% of surveyed organizations still actively use Java. Furthermore, nearly 70% actually report that more than half of their applications are built with Java or run on the JVM. So, despite those TOB rankings showing Python's massive popularity, the data absolutely proves that Java remains deeply, deeply entrenched. It is quite literally the bedrock of the global enterprise. Section 2. Java versus Python showdown. Performance and scaling. Let's shift our focus over to the raw performance data. This is the stuff software architects actually have to grapple with every day. Looking at these hard numbers, on pure throughput, Java just crushes it. A Java Spring Boot app can handle 40,000 to 60,000 requests per second per core. Python, it maxes out around 20,000 to 22,000. But look closely at the next two rows. Python is incredibly light. It only takes up about 80 to 120 megabytes of memory per instance, while Java's JVM overhead demands 300 to 500 megabytes. Plus, Python cold starts in under a second, whereas Java takes a sluggish 3 to 10 seconds. So Java gives you this massive throughput, but Python is way lighter and far more agile for cloud-native scaling. But you know, performance isn't just about servers, right? It's about humans. When we compare code density, Python code is typically 3 to 5 times shorter than Java for the exact same functionality. Because Java requires a lot more boilerplate and, let's call it, ceremony, a typical enterprise minimum viable product in Java takes 12 to 20 weeks to deliver. In Python, we're looking at just 8 to 14 weeks. Python's massive advantage here translates directly into faster developer velocity and significantly lower engineering costs over the product's entire lifecycle. Section 3, where Java still dominates, the mission-critical workloads. So if Python is cheaper to write and uses less memory, why on earth do 99% of enterprises still use Java? Well, because it's the undisputed default for high-throughput systems that push past 20,000 requests per second. It absolutely dominates transactional systems, think banking cores and high-speed trading platforms that strictly require sub-50 millisecond P99 latency. It's also the best choice by far when you're coordinating massive engineering teams of 50-plus developers, and for those compliance-heavy sectors that need their code to run predictably for over a decade. The crucial point to take away is this. Java's strict static typing, its JVM optimization, and its aggressive backward compatibility make it totally unbeatable for multi-decade financial and telecom systems. For these guys, failure is literally not an option. Moving to Section 4, what's new? Java 25. Modernizing the JVM experience. Now, Java isn't just resting on its legacy laurels here. It is actively evolving to shed its old reputation for being overly complex. Java 25 actually brings some incredible, highly requested developer-friendly features. For example, JEP 512 introduces compact source files. That means you no longer need massive, clunky class structures just to write a simple script. JEP 513 allows flexible constructor bodies, so you can finally run validation logic before calling the superclass. And JEP 511 lets you import entire modules with a single statement. No more massive walls of import statements at the top of your files. All of this significantly reduces boilerplate, which makes writing and, frankly, learning Java much less tedious. Another massive leap forward in Java 25 is scoped values, which was officially finalized in JEP 506. Now, for years, Java developers had to rely on thread local to pass context around, but that notoriously caused hidden state issues and nasty memory leaks. Scoped values step in to provide a predictable, safe way to share data for a limited time, and it automatically cleans itself up. This brilliantly illustrates how Java 25 is creating much safer alternatives for concurrent code, especially when you pair it with modern virtual threads. Section 5. Next-Gen Garbage Collection, Managing Latency Under the Hood. Speaking of memory, we absolutely have to talk about how the JVM cleans it up, because that is a major factor for achieving that sub-50 millisecond latency. To understand why garbage collection even matters, you really have to understand request latency. It's basically a three-step flow. First, there's the actual uninterrupted time it takes to compute a request. Second, there's the time lost to system interruptions, which means the system essentially freezes to clean up memory. And third, while the system is frozen, new incoming requests just sit in a queue, waiting. Typical concurrent garbage collection can create massive queuing delays. Even a tiny system interruption can cause requests to back up, kind of like cars in a traffic jam on the highway. Enter LXR garbage collection. This is a novel and frankly fascinating approach currently being researched for high-throughput Java systems. Instead of using heavy concurrent tracing, LXR uses regular but extremely brief stop-the-world collections. It combines reference counting with an IMIX heap structure, which basically manages memory in mixed blocks and lines to optimize space. What does all that mean for you? It means the system reclaims memory without having to expensively copy objects all over the place. LXR uses a low overhead write barrier and lazy processing to deliver significantly better tail latency and throughput than traditional garbage collectors. It is a total game changer for keeping those request queues empty. And our final section, Section 6, the Polyglot Enterprise. The future is hybrid. So we've got modernized high-throughput Java, and we've got fast, highly agile Python. Let's synthesize all this data, because the truth is, the future isn't Java or Python. It really comes down to core language philosophy. James Gosling, the creator of Java, famously said Java is C++ without the guns, knives, and clubs. Java was fundamentally designed for safety, for stability, and for protecting large teams from shooting themselves in the foot. On the flip side, Python's creator, Guido van Rossum, built Python to optimize for readability and developer velocity. In a massive enterprise setting, you need both of those philosophies to coexist. You need safety for your money, and you need velocity for your data. Let's see how this builds into the modern polyglot architecture, because this is the defining enterprise pattern of 2026. Today's top companies successfully leverage Java to serve the transactional backbone. We're talking the billing, the core accounts, the strict SLAs. And right alongside it, they use Python to handle all the AI, the data engineering, and the machine learning model serving. As long as you maintain very clean integration boundaries between these microservices, you get the absolute best of both worlds. This exact hybrid model is actively adopted by Netflix, Spotify, Airbnb, and the vast majority of the Fortune 500. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a provocative question to consider for your own architecture. How does your current stack balance raw throughput with developer velocity? Are you actually using the right tool for the right workload? Or are you maybe forcing one language to do a job it was never designed for? Take a hard look at your hybrid boundaries, because honestly, that is exactly where the next generation of enterprise scaling is won. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive, and keep building.